Okay, I got this stuff in the bowls here, and for 20 to 22 pounds of chicken, I'm gonna dump in the blender to mix this stuff up fast and thoroughly. 4 vitamin B 100 meg pills. I got 7 E 400, 7 teaspoons of taurine powder. Here I've got 100 tablets of potassium glutamate and about 100 tablets of fish oil. And then I'm going to put in a little bit of salt with no iodine in it because my cat's got an active thyroid. So for 20 pounds of chicken, 22 pounds of chicken, I use 7 cups of water. I put 4 cups of warm water in my blender, and I'm just going to basically dump all this stuff in the blender. I used to pop the fish oil pills one at a time, which took forever. So I'm just going to dump all this in here. And I'll add the salt here in a minute. And basically, this is going to get super loud. I'll probably turn the sound off here, but I will mix this up over a period of a half hour. So here, a quick shot, 4 or 5 plus pounds of chicken thighs. I'm cooking them at 350 for about 30 minutes in the oven. And that's going to kill all the bacteria basically on the surface of the chicken. There's one of my cats eating the stuff up like no tomorrow. This is my grinder setup. Basically, as a chicken comes out, I let it cool, and then I will just basically rip the meat off the bones, and I will run it through the grinder immediately. And I run all the meats just through the big die, and then the bones will go in a bowl, and then I will take the big die off, and then I'll go right to the smallest die. There's a medium-sized die I don't use. And then I run all the bones through the small die, and I found a tub that fits my sink perfectly, and that's my setup for grinding, and that's going to be real noisy. I put in 5 teaspoons of salt with no iodine, as my cat has an overactive thyroid, and as soon as I started feeding him this chicken diet that I make, he started gaining weight within 2 weeks, actually about 1.5 pounds. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I take the chicken right out of the oven and I strain the chicken right into the my plastic pail. Because I want to keep all the grease, so it's pretty hot. Usually I kind of let it cool a little bit more. So I'm going to let that strain just for a second. And then dump it in these bowls right here. Strain the rest of it in here. I want as much as grease as possible. I like using these cooking pans. I spray Pam on them. They're super easy to clean up. I just throw them in the dishwasher. And that's the last of it. Okay, this is my setup. Chicken's in the bowls, cooling. My vitamins are in the mixer. I hit that once in a while. So it's going to be thoroughly mixed. That'll be dumped in there once I mix all the meat together. I have all this in a line, so if I drip any grease, it goes in the sink. Take the chicken thighs, I'll rip the meat off with my bare hands, shove it in the grinder. This will be running so you won't hear me talk. And then I put the bones in the bowl. Once I ground all the meat through the big die, I'll put the small die on, and then I'll take all the bones and I'll grind all the bones through the grinder, mix it together, then dump in the vitamins. Here's Gordy. He's 19 years old, got an overactive thyroid, and he knows I'm making food, and he's like wondering where the hell it is. Good boy. Okay, now I'm going to grind the bones through the big die. Then I'll take the bones and I'll regrind them through the small die. It's kind of hard on this machine. You're really not supposed to be grinding bones with this thing. So that's why I grind them through the big die and then I run them through the small die. I don't want to take a chance on a little bone, sharp bone fragment in my cat's food. Okay, now I'm going to put on the small die here. Now I'm going to regrind the bones through the small die. Okay, now I'm going to mix this up dry with a pretty stiff spoon. So before I dump in the vitamins and the extra water, I still need to dump in 3 glasses of water. So I have a total of 7 cups of water. And I found you don't get the vitamins mixed up, and you get that vitamin E concentrated in their food, they won't touch it. So I've got 4 cups of water in here. I'm going to add 3 more. And I want this thoroughly mixed. And basically I just dump it in. gonna mix kind of slow here so I don't slop it all over the place. Okay, I'm ready to fill my jars. I used to fill them with a spoon. It got all over. The outside of the jar was a total mess. I bought this funnel. These are for filling water softener tanks. It's probably 2-inch diameter. It fits in the bowl perfectly. I use a jar as my measuring tool. So I just go in and scoop till I'm just about 90% full, and I just beat it. And I lift it up, and I go to the next one. And so on. This is super fast. I'll try to find these. I always got one clean hand, so I can slide these over here to put the caps on. These are just medium-sized mason jars. I'm not even sure what size they are. And what's nice is these are nice and clean. There's nothing on the outside edge. And I'll fill about 22, 24 of these. So I got 2 caps. And I get about 50 days. Each one of these lasts about 2 days. Each jar. So I take one out of the freezer every day. Usually the night before. Then they're thawed out. So I can put some in the dish. And then I nuke it for 12 seconds. You want to leave a little bit on the top of the jar soon, because I haven't noticed it really expand. I've never broke a jar, but I always, leave about a 1/2 inch on the top. I don't fill it totally 100%. Anyway, there's the finished product. I've got 18 jars, so basically 36, 40 days of food for the cats. And I think maybe it took me 10 minutes to fill all these jars, and I didn't get any on the outside of the jars where I had to clean them. That's kind of a pain in the ass. So the takeaway, I guess, for me even making this is I've been doing this now for about a year, and I've really speeded up the process by filling the jars the way I do with that big funnel, which works really slick, and then using the blender to mix up all my vitamins. Gordy's going to town here. He'll clean that whole thing up. Good boy.